What is beyond our night sky? Hiding between the monstrous planets and the delicately placed stars? This thought has plagued many scientists, hoping to one day see or hear about anything outside our limited reach into infinity. With this burning desire, we also tried to contact anything, just anything that is possible for us to communicate to. We sent multiple signals and messages into space to contact extraterrestrial beings, and NASA even has its own branch for it, the KETI, Communication with Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Now think of this as like a step away from all the hassle of daily life. Not just like a step, but even more beyond. Further away than the sky or even the Earth as a whole. I mean, take a step back from the Sun system, the Milky Way, take a look from far away. Imagine our signal being thrown into this literal space, echoing through it in hope of going somewhere, hitting something, just anything. In perspective, it would be like saying you want to talk with people from foreign countries, writing a hopeful but well-written and thought-through message and throwing it as a paper plane out of the window of your apartment. To even exaggerate this example, throwing this paper plane out of the window, but the streets are empty, never having seen anyone on these streets. Optimistically, maybe someone will get your message, but pessimistically seen, our message will never even come near to being read. Ever. But today's a special day. Dr. Remy's working overtime as usual, sitting in his laboratory and researching radio signals and radio communication. While many would imagine him as a scientist with a clipboard and a white laboratory coat, he looks more like the usual hipster lurking around in a local coffee roastery, just a little bit more tired than the usual customer. Tuning the devices, repairing broken pieces, and replacing defective parts. Some would say it's an evening just like every evening. Sitting at the radioheliograph, an oversized apparatus, tuning in to check its function, Dr. Remy all of a sudden and completely unanticipated gets a signal. A signal which is one of its kind, maybe even not from this world. Incoming transmission. Hello, inhabitants of the planet Earth. We are the Tlicks, your neighbor just outside the Milky Way. This is an official demand from the High Court of our planet to move your sun system within a notice of 4 weeks of your sun system. If we don't see any progress until then, we will unfortunately have to do it ourselves and possibly destroy you and your planet, or use it as a mining or research outpost in case it is suitable for that. Best regards, Prague trainee in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The head engineer, Dr. Remy, turns away from the radioheliograph, a device able to read wavelengths between 3 and 30 meters. Now, looking at his assistant, who, still frozen in shock, just blurts out, "Contact authorities?" Dr. Remy silently affirms, "Contact authorities." The message spread like a wildfire, with news agencies all over the world mentioning it at least once. Skepticism is the natural reaction by some, complete panic and disbelief by others. Nonetheless, the request to move our whole sun system is crazy and quite literally impossible. One thing is for sure, we won't just wait 4 weeks and see what the future will bring. Linguists try to decipher the message into a deeper meaning. Military generals preparing for the worst, and specialists like Dr. Remy try to respond to the aliens and establish communication. But way before we made our first serious attempt on communication with them, a delegation of the Tlicks reached us, landing with a very slimy pod on Earth's surface. Coming out of this slimy yellowish pod are 2 around 4 feet high and even slimier than the pod they came with, resembling something that looks like the cells you study in middle school. With them is another smaller blob of slime which hovers beside their heads, if you may call it like that, or, better said, the top of their bodies. At first, our scientists thought it was part of their body, but in reality, it's a device with multiple uses, including scanning the environment and translating their blubbering into human speech, and vice versa. A Tlicks blob starts to talk, or more like imitate our speech, introducing the 2 aliens as a delegation to talk to us humans and get to know our planet. While giving them a stretched-out welcoming and trying to stall them in their plans, hundreds of scientists analyze them and study their bodies and behavior. They seem to mainly communicate by touching, and by this sharing the information stores in their cell-like body. A minister also touched them, as they offered, who was immediately sent to a laboratory to look for DNA and other traces. But the Tlicks weren't in the mood for talking and left soon after meeting some of the presidents and leading scientists, saying they'll now start researching our planet and scanning its surface and then leaving with their pod again. Activity in our sky was at an all-time high. Thousands of research ships flying around our planet and gathering any information they could get their grasp on. But within a short time, two realities had to be realized. Firstly, we are not able to move our sun system for their projects. And secondly, they seem to have the technological capability to eradicate us or fight a bitter war against us, which no one knows how it may end. With this in mind, dozens of alliances have been made between the countries of the world, with everyone stocking up supplies and recruiting new soldiers. Research focuses on inventing new weapons and ammunition to destroy the cell membranes of the Tlicks, and the mood of the people quickly turned into fear and anger. News agencies also published propaganda against the Tlicks and beating the war drum. The situation calls for proactiveness, said the President of the United States. First operations are launched to disturb the scouting of the Tlicks. While being very successful with the use of heat-seeking missiles in air combat, the Tlicks overpower and trump us technologically in many other aspects of warfare. Some scouting troops of the Tlicks landed in remote regions of China and destroyed whole villages in mere seconds by dropping slime-like substances on them and basically suffocating all activity under it. Advanced military tacticians used tanks equipped with flamethrowers to dissolve the slime, but soon realized that while being very efficient, this tactic was not economically tenable. Over the course of the next weeks, all major cities have been covered in slime. Infrastructure and the life like know it has been frozen in time under it. Resistance forces working from underground and governmental groups are still operating, but seem to pale without being confronted with the clear upper hand the Tlicks have gained over us. In some cases, the Tlicks left cities and started controlling them, with some humans switching sites to gain power and status. In these cities, research stations have been established and hopeless families gather there, knowing that wandering through the untouched wilderness is not viable as a long-term way of living. Is it really this bad? We have food, shelter, and even entertainment, says a news reporter with his voice echoing through the yellow-coated streets of Sacramento. While some live a relatively normal life again, some cities had guerrilla groups fighting for months to gain power over some cities to free the people from the life underground, where they've gathered with tens of thousands of people trying to stem the unforgiving weight of caring for all these souls. When taking a look at the sky, we see massive changes. The Tlicks are making their move to move the sun system with machines the size of planets, each of them having whole civilizations of Tlicks living on them. Was this fight even winnable? Will we ever be the masters of planet Earth? Or stay humiliated in an oversized experiment as lab rats? Thanks for watching the video. If you're in the mood for a happy end, don't forget to check out our video of an alien invasion with a more optimistic ending, or maybe take a look at our video on the Fermi paradox to see what other civilizations far away from us could theoretically look like.